Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. We are back once again on the website of Gardiner Houlgate Auctioneers based in the UK, and we're going to have a look at their second instalment of their 3-part guitar auction, or 4-part with the extra musical instrument auction at the end, if you want to call it that. Before we get into it, I'd just like to say if you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing or like or comment, because that does really help. So yeah, we're on the guitar auction, the second day, guitars part 2, happening on the 9th of March 2023. This is guitars, amps and pedals. I think this is lower level guitars. We looked very briefly at the auction for the 8th of March, which was higher level stuff. We just kind of went through that really quickly because it's not my strongest point, but it was at least interesting, and we will do the same here, probably even quicker, because there are 611 lots here. Usual buyer's premium, the weird 26.4% that you pay on top of the hammer price. This is a UK based auction, so check out all the terms and conditions, import, export, all of that stuff, shipping fees, any CITES restrictions, etc, etc. Yeah, let's get on with it. I said in the other auction, and I'll say it again, that they have their own YouTube channel where they demo some guitars, and it looks pretty good, quite professional. I'm fully support any auction houses that have their own YouTube channels, and I really recommend it to engage with customers. I think it's a good idea, so kudos to Gardiner Houlgate, the guitar department, in any case, for doing that. I think it's Guitar Auctions at Gardiner Houlgate is their YouTube channel, so check them out and see what you think. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Let's just kind of go over this and see what we have. Like I said, this is like lower tier stuff, I think, so it's nothing too crazy. Seeing JHS, Squire, Fender Classic, this is lower tier stuff, some of the budget Gretsch stuff. If we see anything super interesting, we'll click on it, otherwise we'll carry on. Classic Westone, I mean, there were some other Westones in the first auction as well, but it was slightly more interesting. Harley Benton, that's the Toman Dealers brand. Burns Club Marquee, it's kind of probably one of the reissues. More Harley Benton stuff here. You see it's all kind of the fairly low level stuff, not to say anything against it at all, but you know, it's not the high profile stuff. Lag, kind of budget brand guitars. I always quite like the Lag guitars because they have this like matte finish instead of the gloss, and I actually really liked it, and some of them played pretty well from what I remember. I said it's a long time since I kind of spent a lot of time investigating kind of guitars. 1991 Squire, older Squire there, interesting. Korean one, but not old enough to be one of the Japanese ones, but looks interesting colour there. Seagull, made in Canada. These are actually pretty good acoustics there, 1 to 200. You see on this auction, they're just giving you one picture because they just can't be bothered anymore. The other auction, the first one, had loads of pictures, but because this is the lower tier stuff, they're not really bothering. This is a slightly interesting one. Roberto Brandini made Wilson Phantom. That's kind of curious. 150 to 250, so it makes it a bit easier to go through the auction when there's only one picture. We can literally see it all here. PRS, the SE budget line there, Epiphone Dot, Takamine, Line 6 Variax. These are slightly odd models, aren't they? This Dean Tonic S, curious looking thing. 150 to 250. I now feel I should have probably spent a bit more time on the better auction, looking at some of the stuff there, but there was just so much stuff, it really was a bit mind-boggling here. Traveller guitar, some custom tellies there, a K Effector guitar, 100 to 200, these are interesting. Some custom build telly here, 150 to 250. Oh, it's got the Stets bar, interesting. I think, like, ultimately it's probably, that estimate is probably the cost of one of those, from what I recall. That kind of conversion thing to make a hardtail tremolo unit, so it could be worth it just to buy that, to be honest, if you have a kind of some kind of Telecaster, if it fits and you want one of those Stets bar things. 1960s Vox. Oh, it's another custom build telly there with the same system. That's interesting. Yeah, that's very curious. Like I said, these are I think from what I recall, fairly expensive systems there. But yeah, Stetsbar, curious. Well, that's interesting. This is probably some crazy kind of Chinese made thing. It's pretty odd. 12 string. Pretty mad inlays on that. Anyway, we've got lots more to look at, so let's go through. This is quite cool. This 1980s Hohner line, you don't see those that much. That's quite cool. I don't like the star inlays. If they didn't have the stars, I think I'd probably prefer it a bit more. Let's see. This is all just an interesting array of lower tier stuff here. The OLP, Music Man, budget brand, Zenta SG. It's all the lower kind of tier stuff so far. In any case, got 11 pages to go. So Vantage, Harmony, yeah, nothing too crazy here. PV, more custom build Telecasters. Interesting that they've got this change in the pictures here. I did have a look at this quickly earlier on because I was a bit confused by it. But it's just literally this one picture, so we can see these are just like custom build instruments. Who knows what's going on here? I don't know why they have this change in pictures. Maybe they thought it was more arty or so to have it like this, but I actually think that the front end view is probably better personally. All of these budget line acoustics, Kimbara and stuff, I mean, all perfectly usable. I've had a few in my time, but they're all lower levels. This is quite nice. Let's have a look at this 1930s Orpheum #1 archtop. Shame that the pictures, it's a bit dark. That's the problem with these pictures when you're kind of surrounded by amps. Like, it's cool. I mean, this is an interesting looking guitar, but and looks like it might be actually fairly well set up. But the picture, it's a bit difficult to tell really, so that's unfortunate, I think. Avalon archtop here, it's quite nice. This is nice. Besson Artizone 2 to 300. Yeah, it's quite a nice nice looking guitar actually. Shame there aren't many pictures on that, but interesting jazz guitar for sure. Let's see what else we've got here. More Harley Benton, Dan Electro, Sun by Fender. I always mention these because I used to have one once and you could literally knock down walls with them. They're so heavily built, absolutely ridiculous. That actually sounded alright, to be fair, but yeah, ridiculous. One of these old Kent guitars. These are funny, I think, for playing certain kind of crazy music, but not really that playable. More Epiphones and stuff. Interesting composite. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty bizarre, that one. Interesting what modifications people do to guitars. The custom build. 100 to 200. Interesting body on that. Definitely curious. Anyway, let's carry on. What other stuff do we have? Antoria, Tokai, Love Rock. Let's see, Silvertone, Epiphone. All your standards. Aria Pro 2, Jazz Box there. More custom builds, Westone Concord. A few more kind of archtop type things here. First Act, interesting, that brand. I remember at some point when they were closing down this line and they had some really high level ones and they were like quite expensive and they just ended up being like the most ridiculously cheap price ever, which was quite curious. Washburns, Hohner, Hofner even. Let's see, Avon Rose Morris bass guitar, and is it some kind of copy of some kind? Hard to see what's going on there. Just a whole load of other stuff. Stag, right? Yeah, Stag brand PRS. Interesting. Not known for their amazing quality, the Stag stuff, to be honest. There's some Charvette by Charvel. Hohner Professional electric guitar, in need of some attention. Interesting. Curious what guitars were churned out. One of those crazy Ibanez things. Let's see, more vintage guitars. Anything crazy here? Definitely check out the auction yourselves though if you want to look at it in more depth. This is quite interesting. German archtop acoustic, 200 to 300. Once again, like I appreciate the kind of artisanal qualities of these photos, but I really think that the pure front on, if you're just going to give people one photo, give the front on photo. I think it's probably better. But interesting, a lot of these Burns guitars around. Westone Concord, that's an interesting one. Westone Paduk, 1981, 100, 200. That's a bizarre looking thing, isn't it? It's pretty odd. Hofner Senator, nice. I'm a big fan of these early Hofners. They're really quite nice and underrated, I think, personally. Ooh, customized Jim Reed Telecaster there. Well, that's an interesting looking tremolo system there. I'm not sure which one is that one. Hip shot, okay. B bender with drop tune toggle installed, arm missing. Okay, interesting. It would be nice to see a picture of that then at the back. Curious. Weird modifications that people do. Oh, we're on to amps now. Okay, standard, lots of Marshalls. I think the amps are going to be fairly decent. Some of these Super 100 there. JTM 45. 1974 JMP lead and bass 50. We'll just skip through unless you see anything really interesting. Some Fender Bassmans, very nice. Good. Let's see what we're on page 5. Let's see, AC30 classic there. Custom made amplifier head, 1 to 200. Let's see. Roland VGA 5, Roland Jazz Chorus. I'm waiting to see a brand of amp in one of these sales called Stack, STAK. At one point, I think I had the largest collection of those amps possibly in the world, as someone told me. I had 4 of these heads, like giant heads. I think they were made somewhere in the UK at some point in the 70s. Interesting Ampeg here. But yeah, I had 4 of them and I sold them all at the time. I just had like 6 like valve amp heads and I just really didn't need them, so I just sold those Stack ones off. I've got a picture somewhere, I think, of them all in a row. It was, yeah, interesting, but those are long gone. This is that nice one of the old Laney heads, Laney clip. These are actually quite nice. I'm a fan of those. More modern Laney there. Let's see what else. Watkins Joker guitar amp. That's a bit interesting. 60s one. It's quite nice. Quite like that. They do not guarantee the full working order of electrical items. So that's curious. A Rivera there. Let's see. What else do we have? Weber attenuator. Very cool. Selma treble and bass. That's a classic one as well. Oh, it's even got a cover for it. That's nice. Yeah, I do like the Selma treble and basses. High watt. But this is one of those modern kind of ones that's not valve. Let's see, whatever else. Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Always strange that like Mesa Boogie is super expensive in like the UK or in Europe, but in the US not so expensive. I've never really got on with Mesa Boogie stuff. It was a bit too high. Ah, right, now here is an interesting one here. Matamp Minimap 2 guitar amp with 4x10. Interesting. Made in England. ELAC, that's kind of curious. Interesting. I am a big fan of Matamp stuff. I don't know if I've mentioned before, but that is my kind of main head. Like, I don't really play much anymore, but that's what I have, like a Matamp, a custom made big massive Matamp head. Not one of the super crazy ones, but like an 80 watt one that I had kind of custom built. I think it doesn't. I think it needs some fuses changed or something. Something happened, but that was my main amp, and I went to the factory in Huddersfield when I was younger, and bought it and met the people. It was a interesting process. It was a bit more, didn't quite go 100% smoothly, but ultimately it worked, and I gigged that head for a while. Just looking through pedals now, seeing if there's anything interesting. It's the standard stuff here. Once again, I used to get really deep into a lot of pedals as well, but not for quite a while. Now I'm quite out of the loop, but I have a bit of background knowledge. Tube Screamer there, TS808. Maxon OD9, favoured pedal of quite a few people. I think that Bob Mould of the band Husker Du, I think he used to use a Maxon OD9. Could be wrong, but I seem to remember that. Fuzz face there, it's classic. RC30 dual track looper, very nice. Some more kind of standard boards here. Other little Behringer pedals. See if there's anything really interesting going on here. Some of the T-Rex stuff is quite nice. MXR, Boss. So many effects pedals these days. I mean, when I first started playing, when I was like a kid, like you didn't have many choices, like Boss and a few other kind of Dan Electros and all of this kind of stuff, and then it just went crazy. Like the stuff that you could get, absolutely bonkers. All these companies coming out and all the Line 6 stuff and all of the, you know, T-Rex stuff and all of this thing, it just went a bit crazy. So that was through the pedals. A few cases here. Let's see what we've got here. Nothing too crazy. Some parts, bits, necks and things, quite interesting. Futurama 2 guitar body and neck in need of a bit of restoration there. Oh god dear, look at that. That is really quite unfortunate. I really don't know what someone was doing there. 40 to 80 seems somewhat optimistic, one would say. Collection of random guitars. Lace sensor golds, nice. Let's see. Diamond Rhythm Chief pickups, quite nice looking. Jazz pickups there. Let's see what else we've got here. Bill Lawrence humbuckers, some Sharlas, more books and bits and stuff. More bodies. Old Hofner project there. I mean, that could be quite a cool, fun project for someone. Get that up and running with a few bits here and there. There's another Hofner here. Someone had a interest in Hofner. Yeah, I think it could be quite a cool little guitar set up right. Some more bits and bobs, some tools, soldering station, plectrum things. Steinberger type guitar there. Epiphone Les Paul and bits. Well, some interesting parts for your guitar projects. Oh, there's some stuff left over from Tony Zamatis collection that was sold not too long ago. Interesting. Some little drawings that he did or got sent. That's curious. Collection of amusing related comic and caricature. Oh, art by German artist Nick Nosum. Sent for inclusion in the Z magazines. Okay. Interesting. It's a curious one. Some more Zamatis stuff. Custom rib bender, table, mandolin, not mandolin, it's a dulcimer plan, isn't it? That he drew, and some other stuff here, and then a bit of his furniture. Well, there you have it. We've gone through the 11 pages of this actually a lot faster than I thought it would, and that went quite nicely actually. The fact that they have just one picture for most of this stuff and it's kind of lower tier makes it a bit easier. So there you go. That's a brief run through of that auction. Like I said, check out the link in the description. Check out their own YouTube channel that they have with some of the demos. Thanks for bearing with me and my stories about guitar amps and the such. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.